Hi, this is James Gordon, our Total Library Hero, with my fourth book review in the Summer Slaughter series. The book I'll be discussing about today is Rage. This is the Bachman books. This is from Signet from 1986, as I do not own an original copy of Rage or any of Stephen King's standalone Richard Bachman novels, but I would one day like to have the collection of those to add to my bookshelf. But anyway, Rage was first published on September 13th, 1977 by Standard Books, under the Conundrum of Richard Bachman, and I've only read Rage once, and that was years ago, and I really don't have any fond memories of it, so I decided to read it again. And after reading it, this is my review. I will discuss about the book and my thoughts about it, along with some other things. And spoiler, as I will be giving away crucial details. Okay, on to the review. Plot. Charlie Decker, a high school student in Maine, is called to the principal's office during morning class. He enters Mr. Denver's office. He is suspending him after striking his chemistry teacher, Mr. Carlson, with a pipe wrench. Denver is also close friends with Charlie's father, Carl, but Charlie hates his father as Carl hates his own son. While Denver is trying to understand Charlie's problems, he begins insulting Mr. Denver along with exposing himself. Denver orders Charlie out of his office, resulting him to return to his locker, removing a padlock and placing in his breast pocket a box of ammo and a pistol. Ripping up school books and sets them on fire. Returning to class, Mrs. Jen Underwood, in the middle of her class, turns to Charlie and asks, "Do you have an office pass?" Charlie replies yes, pulls out his pistol tucked in his belt, and shoots Jen Underwood in the head. The rest of the class is horrified to move, with the fire alarm being pulled. When the school is being evacuated, Charlie orders everyone to stay seated and not get up. Another teacher opens the door, Mr. Peter Vance, to alert the class, and is shocked to see Jen Underwood lie on the floor. Peter attempts to enter, but Charlie shoots him in the throat as he runs out and later dies. Holding the class hostage, as both Denver, the school's psychologist, and police chief try negotiating through the intercom with Charlie, but refuses to let any of the students out or give himself up, and threatens to kill anyone who attempts to enter or stop him. Within hours, the police, the media, and the parents show up, watching this event, not knowing what's going to happen next. At one point, the police chief orders Charlie to give up through an air horn. Charlie responds by shooting back at the police as they run for cover. During the 4 hours Charlie holds his class hostage, he begins to having the students tell embarrassing events about themselves or others, and forces two girls to slap each other till one of them says she's sorry. Charlie also reveals his troubled childhood with his abusive father, Carl, causing him health problems, along with affecting his insanity, along with his failed relationships. But not only that, but people who have pushed him around, such as Carlson failing him on a test that he got the answers right, and a brutal fight between him and his father, as Charlie forced his father to back down if he really wanted to kill him. The class begins to sympathize with Charlie. However, one student in the classroom, Ted Jones, is the only student who is against Charlie, and at one point attempts to overpower him. Charlie is about to shoot him, but is shot by a police sniper. However, he survives, as the padlock in his breast pocket stopped the bullet because of its fixed steel. After learning every dirty secret, the student that Charlie doesn't know about is Ted Jones. He has everyone tell him every dirty thing Ted has kept secret, causing him to have a mental breakdown and tries to escape, but the rest of the students jump on and beat him while calling him out for everything bad he has done. Charlie is satisfied and lets everyone go. However, Ted is unable to leave. Unloading his pistol, Charlie tells Ted that even though he failed in life doesn't mean he can't rebuild a better future for him. When the police chief enters, Charlie attempts a suicide by cop as he pulls out his pistol and is shot 3 times. However, Charlie survives, and after a court hearing, he is deemed not guilty by reason of insanity and is committed to the psychiatrical hospital. It's also revealed that all the events have been told through a diary that Charlie has written reflecting back on that day. His last message in his entry is, "That is the end. I have to turn the light off now. Good night." After reading this so-called controversial novel that has been blamed for many school shootings, I find it very hard to believe that one book would inspire such acts of violence, when in fact school shootings have already been happening before Rage was ever published. It is very tame compared to other novels. While it is well written with crafted characters, however, I feel so much more could have been done to make it more intense and terrifying, as it feels too simple and basic. I wouldn't consider Rage to be one of Stephen King's worst novels, but not one of his best. And the guilt that has driven him to take this book out of print is ridiculous. People are triggered by life events to harm others, not through books they read. Would I recommend Rage to anyone? That is up to you to decide, and if you want to, the only way you can afford to get this novel is by purchasing the Bachman books from 86 till the early 90s, since the newest edition has removed this story. As for me, Rage isn't one of King's best novels, as he has done better. There's a lot of, books out there that gain a lot of controversy for the right and wrong reasons, and I think Rage has gained controversy for all the wrong reasons, as I have seen countless reports of the media blaming this one book for school shootings, and most of the time they're wrong. They don't do any research. It's basically the media will find anything to poke a stick at it to get a reaction so it can spike their ratings. An example that comes to mind is the Columbine incident. When that event happened, the media just targeted anything they could think of that would cause controversy deliberately. Video games, movies, albums, comic books. They poked a stick to anything they could think of to cause controversy, when the truth of it was none of those things even inspired the Columbine shooting. It was just two students who were tired, fed up, and mad with their lives, and decided to basically to get back at society and to make themselves to get themselves famous for all the wrong reasons. So that's my opinion. I don't consider Rage to be, a very controversial novel at all. Even though the Wick has like 4 events that relate to this book, but to me, taking a book off print, it doesn't really do anything justice. That'll be like taking Catcher in the Rye out of print, because that was the book that the guy had that when he shot the lead singer of the Beatles, John Lennon, or taking that Beatles album, the White Album, taking that out of print because of Charles Manson's inspiration for his murders, the song Helter Skelter. Taking something out of print doesn't really do anything justice. You're just feeding the fire to the controversy to the people who do these horrible events, so they can use these like books, albums, whatever, and they can get the blame pinned on the person who wrote a book or did an album, and they get less to blame, use it as a scapegoat. But anyway, that's my opinion. All right, that's it for this review today. I hope you all enjoyed it. And as I said, I would now be reading Phil K. Dick's Do Androids Dream Life for Sheep and Willie Gibson's Virtual Light to complete the Cyberpunk series, and then I will be reading Stephen Hunter's Dream White Boys to wrap up the Summer Slaughter series. So if you like this video, please like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to Auteur Library, the Facebook group, and the YouTube channel of the same name, a place you can push your review of fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later.